Am I the asshole for refusing to shove my buttocks in a stranger's face? I'm currently on a cross-country flight, sitting in the window seat. Shortly after takeoff, the woman in the middle seat got up to use the restroom. I figured this was a good time to also get up so that the lady in the aisle seat would not have to get up twice. I stood up, as much as one can in the window seat, and asked if I could be let out. She said I could climb over her. She also has a very large carry-on bag that is too big to fit under the seat, so she has it sitting between her feet, meaning the climb would be even a bigger climb. I was pretty dumbfounded that she did not make any move to get up. Instead of pushing the issue, I just sat down. About an hour or so later, I really needed to go to the bathroom, so I told the woman in the middle seat that I needed to get up. I guess these two are mother and daughter because she said, "Mom, we need to let her out." The middle seat passenger climbed over the lady in the aisle seat. The lady in the aisle seat then looked at me and said, "You can climb over." I firmly stated that I am not climbing over her. I asked her to please stand up and let me out. Yes, I said please. She said no. I again said, "Please stand up so I can get out." Her daughter said, "Mom, I think you need to stand up." She continued to refuse. She dug in, clutching her things, and glared at me. Her daughter repeatedly asked her to get up. At this point, I am pretty pissed off, and I really have to pee. I more loudly said, "You need to stand up, ma'am. Please just stand up." Finally, I very loudly said, not shouting, just loudly talking, "It is basic airplane etiquette to stand and let someone out. I will not be forced to put my buttocks in your face because you do not feel like getting up." I pushed the flight attendant call button. Once the flight attendant arrived, the aisle seat passenger took her sweet time gathering all her nesting materials, including a blanket, snacks, wine, an ancient DVD player with an absurd number of cords attached, and dramatically moved her carry-on into the aisle. She finally stood up. So tell me, should I have just sucked it up and straddled this complete stranger so that she could be more comfortable? Reddit verdict: not the asshole. Top comments. Comment: I would have shoved my buttocks in her face, got my feet caught in her stuff, stumbled, farted, and headed off to pee. The return trip would be epic because I would be planning to stumble into her lap. Answer: I was going to say that I would have attempted to climb over and waited until my buttocks were at face level and then crop dusted the hell out of her. Comment: not the asshole. You asked politely multiple times. Then you tried a repetition of the etiquette for the hard of hearing and slow of courtesy. Only then did you call the attendant. As for me, after her refusal, I would have climbed over her, but I would be awfully clumsy since I have had inner ear problems for absolute years. She would probably be stepped on, have my buttocks in her face, and most of my weight on her armrest momentarily so I could balance and stand. Such stubbornness deserves a response, in my opinion. I would eat every snack that might produce farts. Yes, I can be that immature. Comment: not the asshole. But if she refused to get up and insisted I climb over her things, I would have climbed over and kicked all her crap into the aisle on my way out. But pressing the button to let the flight attendant handle it was both appropriate and the more mature thing to do. Comment: I would have pushed the flight attendant harder to move all that crap under her feet. It is supposed to fit under the seat for safety if you do need to get to the aisle. I'm a prick. I would have palmed $20 or even $40 to make the rest of the flight miserable for the woman. Take all that stuff and cram it in the overhead bin 6 rows back so half the plane has to get off before she can get her junk. Write what you think about this situation. Who did the right thing and who is the asshole? Let's discuss it in the comments. In the meantime, let's move on to the next story.
Am I the asshole for not bringing my girlfriend anything while she was sick? My girlfriend has been sick for the past 3 days. When she first told me, I asked if she needed anything, to which she only replied, "A stronger immune system." The next day, I checked and asked if she has been eating or drinking, which she said yes, she has been eating, drinking, and resting. Later in the day, I checked in again, asking if she needs anything, saying, "I have soup." She replied with, "She is okay for now." Today, I asked how she is feeling and told her to get some rest, which she was receptive to, but later she told me she is going into work. After work, she said it is hard for her to ask for things while sick, and a small gesture like soup or tea would have meant a lot, and she felt lonely because she did not get that. I would have brought something, but she explicitly told me she was okay and did not say anything when I asked. I figured I would allow her space to rest since she said she had food and I did not want to risk us both getting sick. Am I the asshole for not bringing anything? Reddit verdict: not the asshole. Top comment: if you listen to me, I will save you a lot of money on couples therapy in your future. You are not the asshole. She did not communicate to you what she wanted. She told you she was fine, and you took her at her word. But what she really wants, but did not communicate, is to be seen. She does not want to have to ask you to bring her soup, but she wants you to see that she is not feeling well and to think about her and anticipate that soup might be helpful and bring it to her, not because she asked for it, but because you care. It might sound silly, and really it is best for her to be more direct about expressing her feelings or wants, but wanting to be seen is tricky because a part of its value is not having to ask. And maybe right now it is not a big deal, like it is just a virus, but it is still a good thing to understand and practice, because a partner who is good at seeing notices their spouse's feelings and responds to them. And when or if babies get involved, seeing and anticipating your partner's needs is something which I cannot overstate the value of. Many marriages fail because, usually the man, does not see the invisible labor their wife is carrying or hear when she asks for help. But no one complains about someone who really sees them. So you are not the asshole, but maybe this is some food for thought. Answer: while I wholeheartedly agree with the comment itself, the original poster offered all those things which I would count as being seen. Otherwise, he risked bringing soup and tea that would have been left unconsumed and end up in the trash. On the other hand, the "I have soup" came a bit late. The original poster could have offered something specific earlier, since "Do you need anything" acknowledges that she is sick, but demands a lot more mental energy to respond to, which sick people do not have to spare.
Answer to answer. I think it is mainly just the phrasing. For example, if he had said, "I will bring you some soup after I finish work," versus, "Do you need anything? I have soup." I do not know if it is just more likely for women, product of our environment, upbringing, and all that, but there is a very big difference for both statements, even though they are fairly similar. I hate asking for things, so I respond far better to, "I will make you a cheese toastie," compared to, "Do you want me to make you something?" I think somebody else taking the initiative, providing the solution, and taking action is really appreciated. It is very attractive when a partner does that. Also, I feel like soup can last a couple of days in the fridge, but even still, yes, potentially the actual food or beverage might go to waste, but the thought and consideration would not. Answer to last answer. As a woman, I would be annoyed if I said I did not need anything, and then someone decided they knew better than I did. And he did not just leave it for her to figure out. I agree. Saying, "Do you need anything?" puts a mental load on the person. He literally said, "Do you need anything? I have soup." So she could say, "Oh, that would be nice," with minimal thought. Comment: not the asshole. She said she did not want soup. Imagine if she said she did not want soup and you brought it anyway. She would be completely justified in being upset. And if you came on here asking if you were the asshole, it would have been unanimous. People would be saying, "Can you not take no for an answer? She is a woman, not an infant. You do not need to baby her." How much more clear could she have been? She said no. You respected that. Answer: also, being lonely is an understandable feeling even through the offers of help, but at some point among the questions she should have replied, "Can you come over?" Or even, "Can I call you?" to be less lonely and communicate better what she needed. The original poster is clearly not the asshole. And I do not think she is an asshole from this incident alone, but it depends on the bigger picture. If it is a pattern of not communicating and then being upset, she is an asshole. If this is a one-off, it's just a communication issue they have to figure out and agree on. It can be easily solved if both work on it, in a healthy way. I can't stand people who constantly expect their partner to read their mind. It drives me up the wall. But just once, we're all human, and we can make mistakes, especially at a vulnerable time like being sick. Comment: not the asshole. I hate it when people say they do not need anything and then get upset that you didn't bring anything. You checked in, you were very ready to bring her anything she requested, and most importantly, you took her at her word. Some people like visitors and attention and stuff when they're sick, some do not. If she wanted you to come over with tea or soup, she should have said so like a grown-up. Comment: not the asshole. You explicitly asked if she wanted some soup. She said no. You are not a mind reader. Your girlfriend should work on her communication skills. That said, now that you know asking her is useless, next time she's sick, you can just bring her something without asking. But does she pretend that you read her mind instead of listening to her with other stuff too? That seems so annoying. Write what you think about this situation. Who did the right thing, and who is the asshole? Let's discuss it in the comments. In the meantime, let's move on to the next story. Am I the asshole for taking off my shorts to dry them under a hand dryer? Hello, I, 27-year-old male, was in a train station waiting to take an Amtrak train, drinking some water. I somehow managed to spill the water all over my shirt and shorts. Not wanting to get on the train looking like I urinated on myself, I went into the bathroom to deal with it. I stretched my shirt out to get it under the hand dryer and did a good job of drying that, but the dryer was too high off the ground to help out my shorts. So I looked around to make sure no children were in there, it was somewhat crowded but only adults, and slipped off my shorts to dry them more effectively under the dryer. I had underwear on, so it was not like it was anything indecent. When I did so, I heard one man around my age say, "All right then," and noticed a couple of looks, but I did not think anything of it. But one man, about 10 or 15 years older than me, came up to me and said to cover up and that this was no place for that. At this point, my shorts were 95% dry, but I do not like being told what to do, so I dried them for about 15 more seconds before putting them on. The man muttered, "Asshole," and walked away. Was I in the wrong for doing this? It is a bathroom, and it is not like I was nude. Technically, someone outside the bathroom could have seen the hand dryers if they really tried, but in my opinion, if you are peeking into a bathroom, that makes you a weirdo. So what is the verdict? Reddit verdict, not the asshole. Top comments. Comment. I am sorry, do not men just expose their penises to use a urinal? Why would this be offensive at all? Not the asshole. Answer. Because I expose it at a urinal, which normally has privacy walls, and I am not showing it to everyone. Edit. I do not care about your opinion. I never said I was against this man drying his shorts. I was just pointing out that men do not just expose themselves in the middle of a restroom like this person claims. Comment. Not the asshole. That is about the least offensive thing I've seen in a train station bathroom. Comment. Not the asshole, and I agree with the other comment I saw that was saying it likely has to do with cultural expectations of men or homophobia. If a woman did this in the women's bathroom, no one would blink an eye. And in fact, some people might stand in such a way as to block them from view from the door or something, to protect their privacy while they are dealing with the issue, not because it is offensive to others. Comment. Not the asshole. If I see a man in the bathroom wearing his boxers, drying his shorts off under the hand dryer, I know his day has not been great, and I am not going to judge him for it. Answer. I will never understand the thought process behind seeing someone having a hard time and deciding to mess with them. I don't think anyone deserves to be attacked or hurt, but purely from a self-preservation perspective, we can remove sympathy or empathy entirely. That is how people snap. Seeing someone going through it and bringing on a desire to pull out a stick and poke the bear just seems like asking for all the rage to be aimed at you. Comment. Not the asshole. I am not a man, so maybe I'm wrong, but don't you all just expose yourselves publicly to urinate in there? So how is being in your underwear any more scandalous than that? Answer. No. There are sacred rules to public bathroom urination. Always leave at least one urinal between you. All the zipping and unzipping is done facing the urinal. No peeping. Talking is sort of rude, but also a dominance move. They're silly rules, but the "I'm not gay" crowd takes them very seriously. Some men are very invested in modesty, mostly because they are insecure. Answer to answer. I'm so pleased I'm a woman. Comment. Not the asshole. This sounds like some cultural homophobia to me. If a woman did this in the public bathroom, no one would blink an eye. Answer. That was my thought too. I've seen women without their shirts on either to change or dry them, and I never thought anything of it. I do my business and go on with my life. Original poster, you are not the asshole. I wouldn't be surprised if the men complaining at you drying your shorts would have complained about you being nasty for urinating on yourself if you hadn't tried them. What do you think about this situation? Who do you think is a jerk, and who did the right thing? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel to get more cool and interesting stories. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.